What's going on, guys? If you're watching this video, then congratulations on your brand new iPhone. Wondering what are the first things you should do on your brand new iPhone? You came to the right video because I'm going to take you through and show you everything you need to do on your brand new iPhone. Now we have a lot to cover, so let's just get right into it with the very first thing you need to do, and that is to customize your lock screen. So if you tap and hold on your lock screen, you can then tap customize, select the lock screen, and now you can change all of the elements on the lock screen. You can change the date and time widget for something else. If you want, you can also change the way the actual clock looks. So there's a few different options here. You can change the size and even the color of the clock, and you can also add extra widgets. So let's say we want our battery widget, we can just tap on it, and then we'll have two different looks for this widget, so we can select which one we like. So let's say we want this one, we can just drag it up here, and now you can see it'll show up right there in our widgets. Then let's say maybe we want to have our reminders widget right there. We can tap and hold on it and then drag it up here, and now we will always see our reminders on our lock screen. Once you're done, simply hit done and you have your new lock screen. Now you can also add another lock screen. So if we swipe over, we can hit this plus button right here and we can select a new lock screen. And for wallpapers, we have a choice between photos in our gallery. We can photo shuffle, we can create emoji wallpaper, we can do weather, choose astronomy, or just go through any of these featured iPhone wallpapers. So let's say we want to create a new wallpaper, we'll just choose astronomy, and then we have a few different options here, so you can cycle through these, select which one you want the most. But let's say we like this one right here. We're going to hit add, and then we're going to do set as wallpaper pair, and there you go. Now you have a choice between two different wallpapers depending on what you want to use. And what's really cool about this is you can actually link a focus mode to any wallpaper. So if we tap onto here, you can see we have all of these different focus modes right here. So let's say that we want to link this wallpaper to our fitness focus mode. So now every time we select this wallpaper, our phone will go into our fitness focus mode. And if you want to customize what these focus modes do, you can just tap focus settings. It will take you to the focus mode settings. You have all of your focus modes right here. So we'll go into fitness, and now you can customize this focus mode to the way you want. So just go through here, set this up to the way you like it, and then go ahead and create your new lock screens. All right, now the next thing we're going to do is customize our always on display, because you can see when we lock our phone, it turns on our always on display. We have our clock, we have our widgets, and we also have our background of our phone. It's a little bit dim, but it's still on, and that is using a little bit more battery. And I just like the way Androids have their always on display, where there's nothing on it except the clock and your reminders or notifications. So we're going to do the same thing on our iPhone. So to do that, we're going to unlock our iPhone. Then we're going to go into our settings. We're going to scroll down to display and brightness, and then we're going to look for always on display. And in here, we're going to disable show wallpaper. Now, if you don't want the always on display showing up at all, you can just disable it from here. But I'm just going to disable the wallpaper. And now you can see when we lock our phone, it looks just like the Android phone, where all you have is your clock, your widgets, and your notifications. All right, guys, the next thing we're going to do is program our action button. So this action button is a new feature that came to iPhone 15, and there's a few different options we have to program to this action button. So to do that, what we're going to do is unlock our phone. We're going to go into our phone settings and then scroll down until you see action button right there. And I'll just go through here and select what you want that action button to do. So if you want it to be a silent switch, just like it used to be, you can select that from there. You can also run a certain focus mode. You can start the camera, turn on or off the flashlight, start a voice memo, use it as a magnifier, run a certain Siri shortcut, or if you want some accessibility options, you can have that in case you have any disabilities, or you can set it to do just no action, but I don't know why you would want to do that. Let's say I want it to run the flash or start the flashlight every time I press the action button. You can see now when I press it, we get the flash. So definitely a nice little new feature that you should go ahead and set up on your new iPhone 15. Now, one default behavior I don't really like on the iPhones is by default, you cannot see the percentage of your battery. You kind of just get the battery icon, but not the percentage. So I always change that. And if you want to as well, what you're going to do is just scroll down and go into your phone's battery. And then right there at the top, you can see battery percentage. If we enable this, we can now see that our battery is exactly at 75%. So go ahead and enable that. It's just going to make it a lot easier to tell exactly how much battery you have. Now for this next setting, this is already enabled by default, but if you guys don't know about this, you should really know about it, because the problem with all modern day phones is that they're really big and it can be really difficult to use it one-handed. You can see that if I'm holding my phone with one hand, I can barely reach halfway across the phone with my thumb. So if I need to reach something on the outer edges of the phone, it can be difficult. But there's a neat trick on this iPhone that if you just swipe down from the bottom, you can see that it brings the screen halfway down, and now it makes reachability much easier. So if this isn't enabled for you by default, you definitely want to enable it. So you want to go to settings and then look for accessibility, go to touch, and then just enable reachability right there. So now you can just swipe down from the bottom like this, and it'll make your phone a lot easier to use one-handed. All right, the next thing we're going to do is set up Siri. Siri is a really useful tool. I use it all the time to ask for the weather, for the news, to set reminders, calendar events, take voice memos, and just do whatever I need it to do. Now you can go in here and tap on listen for. So if you want to say, hey Siri, and have Siri listen, you can enable that here. I typically leave this off because I don't want my microphones to be on all the time, draining battery. So what I do instead is just enable, press side button for Siri. We're going to tap enable Siri, and now you can just press the side button for Siri to be enabled. And if you want, you can also go through the rest of these settings just to set up Siri to your liking. So you can see we have Siri voice right here. There's a few different options for accents and a few different voice profiles. I'm not going to go through all of these things. You can kind of just go through here on your own and set up Siri to your liking. But next, what we're going to do is improve the security on our phone. So we're going to go back into settings, and then we're going to go to Face ID and passcode. And in here, we can customize our Face ID preferences. Now, Face ID is incredibly secure, and it can not only be used to unlock your phone, but you can also use it to authenticate purchases, use sensitive apps like banking apps or password managers, and even autofill passwords. So you want to make sure that all of these enable just so you can use Face ID to access all of these things. You can also set up an alternative appearance. So maybe you have a beard and sometimes you shave the beard. You can set up an alternative appearance just so your Face ID can recognize you. If you use a mask, during COVID, this was a whole big thing. You can set up Face ID with masks. And if you scroll down here, there's an option for require attention for Face ID. This is a good one for security. So in case you're sleeping or maybe you're unconscious for whatever reason after a long night of partying, if somebody takes your phone and tries to point it at your face, it will not unlock the phone unless the phone sees that it has your attention, which means that you are looking at the phone and that your eyes are open. Then it will unlock your phone. So this is definitely a nice little security feature right there. And then if you scroll down all the way to the bottom, you can see that there's an option here for allow access when locked. And a lot of these are enabled by default, but I actually like to disable most of these because if your phone ever gets lost or stolen, you don't want these to be accessible from the lock screen except maybe a few of them. So I typically go through here and disable a lot of these. Home control, reply with messages, Siri, live activities, we'll leave that on. Lock screen widgets, we'll also leave that on just so you can see your widgets. The control center, we definitely want to disable that. If you don't want your notifications to show up, you can also disable those from there. So I definitely suggest you go through here and disable whatever you don't want to be accessible on your lock screen. And then down here at the bottom, you can enable this option that says erase all data. And what it will do is delete all of the data on your phone after 10 failed passcode attempts. So if somebody gets a hold of your iPhone and they try to brute force their way in by trying a whole different bunch of passwords, it will delete all of the data on your phone if they fail 10 times. So this is just a nice little security feature you can enable as well. All right, now the next thing we're going to do is customize our notifications. You should really go through this because not only can it distract you, but it can also drain your battery. So the very first option we have up here is how you want to display your notifications. So you can have a count, you can have a stack of notifications on your lock screen, or you can display it as a list. I'm going to leave it as stacked because I just like how that looks. And next, what we're going to do is go down to notification style. Now I just set my phone up, so I don't have a lot of apps in here, but if you have already set up your phone, you're going to see all of your applications right here. So you'll see your Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever you have, all of your apps will be in here. Now what you want to do is go ahead and tap into any one of your apps, and if you do not want notifications from that application, just go ahead and disable allow notifications, and now you're not going to get distracted by all of these notifications from all of these different apps. All right, now this next setting is going to help us save battery. So what we're going to do is go into our settings. We're going to scroll down to general and then go to background app refresh, and you can see it says allow apps to refresh their content when on Wi-Fi or cellular in the background. Turning off apps may help preserve battery life. And really the only things you want to leave enabled are things like your maps, your mail, maybe Facebook, Telegram, Siri, things that you actually want to run in the background and get updates. Everything else you don't really need, so be sure to go through here and disable whatever you don't need, and that's going to save you lots of battery life. All right, guys, the next thing we're going to do is change the camera settings because these phones have some amazing cameras, but if you're just using the default settings on these cameras, you are not taking advantage of a lot of the great features. So you can see up here, all of these default settings are at 1080p, so it's not even set to 4K. So if you want to change these, what you want to do is go into your video, and you can see it's set to 1080p 30 FPS, but we can go all the way up to 4K 60. So if you want to be recording in 4K, you want to go ahead and select that here. Then down here, you want to make sure that you have enhanced stabilization enabled and also HDR video if you want that high dynamic range video for the best quality. Then we're going to go back into camera and we're going to go to formats. Make sure you have high efficiency enabled, and in the photo mode, make sure you have 24 megapixels enabled unless you specifically want 12 megapixels. And then down here under video capture, enable ProRes if you want that high quality ProRes video quality. Remember, this is going to take a lot of storage on your phone because they're pretty much used for like professional professional grade film and commercial. So if you want that really high quality and you're a serious video editor, you're going to want to enable ProRes. But if you're just a casual user and you just take videos of your kids or your dog, you probably don't need ProRes. So I'll go ahead and disable this and just save yourself some storage. And then we're going to go back into our camera, and then right here under composition, I suggest you enable grid and level, because this is going to help you better compose your pictures. So if we go into our camera, you can see we have now this grid right here. We also have a leveler, and this is just going to help you take better photos by just aligning everything on the grid and make sure that you're holding the camera straight and the image is leveled. So if you want that, definitely go ahead and enable that here. All right, for the next setting, we're going to go back into our phone setting, and we're going to go to emergency SOS. Now here, make sure you enable call after severe crash. Now this is that crash detect that's built into the iPhone, a really important feature. So if you get into a car crash and maybe you're unconscious or you're just not able to reach your phone, the phone will sense that you were in an accident using all of its sensors and call emergency services for you. And you can even add your emergency contact down here and they will contact them as well. So definitely go ahead and set this up. Really, really important feature. But next, what we're going to do is go back into our phone settings, and then up here, go to control center. So our control center, if we swipe down from the top right of our phone, you can see it brings down this control center, and we have a few options in here. We can control our brightness, we can set up focus modes, turn on our flash. But if you want to add more features into that control center just to make them a lot easier to access, you can see there's a whole bunch of options here. So maybe we want to add, a screen recording up there. We can just hit the plus icon. Maybe we want our quick notes, and maybe we want the dark mode toggle as well. So now when we go to our control center, you can see we have those new features right there, and we can access it nice and quick without having to go into the settings. So definitely go ahead and set this up to your liking. Next, we're going to make some improvements to the keyboard. So we're going to go to general, then we're going to go to keyboard, and we're going to go to text replacements. Now in here, you can create shortcuts for text replacements. So you can see I've already got one set to EML, which will shortcut to my email, and then we of course got on my way. So if we want to add some new ones, we're going to hit the plus icon right here. We're going to create a phrase, so we can put something like ADR for our address, and then put our full address into the shortcut. And now anytime we type ADR when we're using our keyboard, we can quickly fill out our whole entire address without actually having to go and write the whole thing. And that's just going to make your life a lot easier. And next, we're going to go back into our settings, and we're going to go up to sound and haptics, and we're going to scroll down to keyboard feedback, and then we're going to enable haptic. And now we're going to get that nice little vibration every time we hit a character on our keyboard, and we're going to get that haptic feedback. So as we're typing, it's just going to give a little vibration, and it's just a really nice, satisfying feeling to have these haptics enabled. If you never tried them, definitely give it a try and let me know if you like it. Next, we're going to enable the secret button. So if you haven't heard about this yet, you can go into your settings and then go to accessibility, go to touch, and then scroll all the way down to the bottom, go to back tap, and you can see that we have two options here, double tap and triple tap, and we can map these to take a certain action. So when we back tap on our phone 2 times, we can select what action we want our phone to take. And we have a whole bunch of options here. So let's say we want to launch the camera, and then let's go back. We're going to go to triple tap now. And let's say when we triple tap, we want our phone to take a screenshot. And now you can see if we pick up our phone and then we double tap on the back, it'll launch our camera. So there we go, nice and easy. And then if we triple tap, it should take a screenshot. So there you go. Pretty cool. Definitely suggest you guys go ahead and set that up. All right, guys. And the final thing that we need to do now that our phone is completely set up, we got everything running as we like it. The final thing we need to do is, of course, make sure we're taking backup. So we're going to go into our phone settings, tap on our Apple ID. We're going to go to iCloud backup, and make sure that backup this iPhone is enabled. And now it will back up your phone every 24 hours. It will back up everything from your music, your videos, your apps and messages, your wallpaper. Everything is going to get backed up to the cloud. And if you want to take a manual backup, you can even tap backup now, and you can see it'll start backing up everything on your iPhone. Now by default, you only get 5 gigabytes of iCloud storage. You can see right there, I only have 5 gigabytes, and you're probably going to run out of that pretty quickly. But if you want to get more storage, you can tap manage account storage and then change storage plans, and you can see we have a 50 gigabyte, 200 gigabyte, 2 terabyte, 6 terabyte, and a 12 terabyte option. You probably don't need any of these. Honestly, 50 gigabytes for $1.29 a month, this is Canadian pricing, should definitely be enough. But there you go, guys. That's everything you need to do on your brand new iPhone 15. I hope you learned something in this video. If there are any more tips and tricks that you want to share or things you think other people might want to know, be sure to leave them in the comments below. But that's going to do it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe for future videos to come, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.